Welcome to the Third Man Up podcast, your one-stop shop for the serious and not so serious side of Australian sports. Join the lads as they discuss what's going on in the world of sport and preview all of this weekend's action. Now, here are your hosts, AFL media superstar Peter Spida Everitt and the world-class amateur Brody Burrows.
It's another week in football, and with these buys, mate, I'm getting absolutely sick of them. There's 6 or 7 games on. Absolutely done. Let's get back into the real stuff soon, eh?
Oh, I'm with you. Absolutely. And a great way to start. Let's say hello by just launching off the top and having a cracking whinge, because I'm happy to, because it's just crap games of football. You got 5 or 6 games every round. You know what? They're better off. My suggestion would be after 8 or 10 weeks, have a round off. After 8 or 10 weeks, have another round and then come home, and that's everybody, have the weekend off and then highlight, I don't know, maybe in the WA round, have the game of the round at Adelaide Oval. In WA, have the game at Optus Oval. You utilise the MCG, give it to one of the Victorian clubs. I don't know, give it to somebody to do something with around those weekends. But I'm sure we're able to fill the gap, because these teams that have got, some of them have got the bye, some of them haven't, Seville playing, aren't playing. We're no good after the bye. We are good after the bye. It just absolutely annoys me. Just give everyone the same time. No one can whinge. And then, you know what? We can live without AFL for a weekend. We live without it for 6 months of the year. Yeah, we struggle, fight, whinge and bicker. But look, twice a year, give everyone a bye and then let's move on.
Especially with so many teams coming off the bye and not many of them are winning, mate. It's that bye curse has struck again, and there's so much other sport going on at the moment. You've got obviously the Ashes, which is in prime time TV. It's absolutely awesome, and you got Wimbledon coming up as well in the tennis. There's everything going on, mate.
Just come off the French Open.
Yeah,
plenty of golf happening as well.
Yep.
We know State of Origin in the NRL. Give them the weekend off, and those, because you know what will end up happening if you made this consistently throughout the year. WA, South Australia and Victoria, they would make their rep teams play on that weekend in local footy. And if they could have, imagine if you had your rep teams of South Australia or whatever play on the Adelaide Oval on a Friday or Saturday night, it'd be massive for the competition. It'd be great for them. So, you know what? Everyone can win-win. I don't know why. I don't know how I didn't get the top job. I don't know how. I don't know
because
why.
You make too much sense, mate. That's a problem.
Absolutely.
And we got some tackling.
Paid millions of dollars, you know.
Nah,
yeah, it's just
a bit like politicians. You get paid to change your mind every 2 minutes and spend everyone's money. But anyway, mate, what'd you get up to on the weekend?
What did I do over the weekend? Well, I went to Melbourne, watched a little bit of footy there. My young fella Boston, he played. So I tell you what, I've been kissed lately, and they normally say you've been kissed.
That's nice, mate. That's always nice when you get a kiss.
No, but you know what? I don't want to brag, but, I fly a lot. So I fly to Perth. I'm coming to Adelaide soon and whatever. So I fly a lot. And I'm only gold at Virgin in their velocity points.
Kissing virgins, mate. What a way to start the show.
No, it gets better than that. Every time I've booked a trip, they've given me a free upgrade lately.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've sat in business, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough going back. It's going to be tough going back. So I had that over the weekend. And then Saturday night, I was going to go watch the Tigers versus the Saints, but I was sitting at home and we could see the lights of the MCG. And I looked at the bomb, and I could just see this massive, big rain cloud coming in. And I said, no, I'm out. I'm no good. I'm not sitting at the MCG for that. So we sat there and watched it at home. I abused the television, went to bed shitty, and that's about it.
Yeah, but it was your man again, though, in that game, Timmy Taranto. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll kick off the reviews with the Thursday night game. Port Adelaide 110 defeated Geelong 72. It was after half time. She was a demolition, wasn't it? Well,
you said this. I reckon the turning point for me at this game was Gary Rowan. Now, he was fantastic, kicked a couple, took a few hangers. And the one he flew for and he missed, I think it might have been second quarter. Anyway, he missed it. He had his hands on it. He had every part of it, dropped it, turnover, Port Adelaide goal. And then they were able to get on their skates and really start controlling it through the middle of the ground. But, gee, they were good. They were good, Port Adelaide. And Geelong haven't won a lot after the bye. But, players like Jeremy Cameron and Hawkins, where are they? Like, where are these guys? Where are their leaders? Dangerfield ended up in hospital. So he'll miss a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, a bit of a shout out to Paddy Dangerfield playing on with a collapsed lung. That's a massive effort by him. You could see he was pretty well hurt by it. But the one thing that stood out for me in this game, there's some moments in footy that really makes you feel emotions. And Quinton Narkle, when he grabbed that ball, when he turned around and kicked that goal, gave the tug against the jumper, was never good enough for the Cats. Come straight in mid-season draft. He was probably the happiest man in Australia at that moment, mate.
How do you look at players like that who, and this is what I love about mid-season trades and drafts, and I reckon they could go a little bit harder, is that, yeah, you go from a team that you're really hard to break into, and they've been solid for a long period of time, Geelong, yet you come in and you make a difference straight away in your new team and against your old team. It's just, that's what footy is. That's what, you talk about footy gods, there's your footy god.
Yeah. And Sam Powell-Pepper,
he's my man.
The human toe ball, he shrugged off too, and I reckon, as good as Dustin Martin was at the Don't Argue, I reckon Sam Powell-Pepper is even better.
Yeah, look, I love him. I've loved him for a couple of years, one for his name and now because what he can do. But, I used to love David Roden as a player. He used to be my favourite, and now he's goal umpiring. I still love watching goal umpire because he's just got the biggest smile on his face no matter what's happening in the game. He knows the count, and he's just absolutely gives it everything he's got every time. And, but for me, Powell-Pepper, what a jet. Yeah,
he is in another bag for Jezza Finlayson, and Kelly was up in the crowd and she couldn't look with his goal kicking. She didn't know where it was going to go, but Jezza kicked straight. I think he kicked 4 or 5 straight. So he's having an outstanding year and snuck into my forward pocket on the rolling all Australian team he has.
Oh, yeah. Well, hang on. We'll get to that a little later on to see, actually who stacks up better.
Yeah, and Geelong pretty well, no chance of top 4 now, mate. Top 8 is going to be a challenge in itself from here.
Yeah, interesting. They're still very low on the odds to make the top 8, but they've got a lot of games at GBH Alphabet Stadium, and look, this weekend's their one. This weekend, if they don't win this weekend, you'd nearly put a fork in them and say they are done. So a big one for them.
Yeah, it is. And the Friday night game, Brisbane 97 defeating Sydney 81. Brisbane never really seemed to get out of third or fourth gear in this one, did they? Got the job done, though.
Yeah, they are. They're interesting. You didn't really know even at halftime. You're thinking Sydney can still, win this. They were nothing special. Both teams were. Parker and the Lizard, they were good, but they just haven't got enough at the moment. And I think Brisbane, same thing. Hitwood, did well up forward, but where are their other guns? Charlie Cameron's been pretty quiet. Cam Rayner does his little bit, but McInerney's getting his hand on the ball. But for me, Brisbane aren't doing anything outstanding to say, you know what? When you look at a Port Adelaide and you look at a Brisbane, you see the difference in just enthusiasm. You see the difference in excitement to be there. Brisbane don't even look excited to be playing football at the moment, and they should be a top 4. Well, they will be a top 4 team.
Yeah, and I think that these wins here where you really need that percentage boost, you're up at the Gabba. Swans have been pretty average away from Sydney. They haven't been that good in Sydney, to be fair, but they've been even worse at the Gabba. If they wanted to get that home final at the Gabba, these are the wins where they should be winning by that 30, 40 points.
And I don't want to look too far into the future, but they're going to knock down the Gabba for so soon. If the Gabba's the only place they can win, they're going to have no place they can win.
No.
Because the Gabba's gone. So, they may as well close up shop. They may as well sit out until they build the Gabba again because, I was disappointed with them.
Yeah, the Gabba's getting moved down to Tasmania. A cheaper way to build a stadium, just get 20 planes in and just drop it straight down there in Hobart.
Put it on trucks. Oh, no, there's water in between, isn't there?
Big boats. But on the Saturday, it was GWS 106. Just completely dismantling Fremantle 36. Now, as a Fremantle supporter, this was shocking to watch, but GWS, what an amazing performance it was by them.
Yeah, well, Freo, again, can't win first quarters, and GWS come out and just jumped on board. How often can you sit there and back Toby Green to kick 3 or 4 goals? Every week he does it, and no, he can't do it again, he can't do it again. They'll obviously clamp down on him. He can't possibly do it again. What does he do? Kicks another 3 or 4. He's just he's a freak. And when you put him with Kelly, Caniglio, all these players, they're just having a real good year. And they're my little smoky at the moment. We, the start of the year, thought they were going to struggle. Started to watch them a few games in, and they're really competitive, and they have been up until now. So I reckon done a great job, the coaching ranks and being able to put them on the park. But the big question is Freo. Where does Freo go? Because do you start looking at Freo now? Because players like Brayshaw, who else is there? Yeah. Or what do you let them? Do they stay or? You know what I mean? Like, are Freo going to play finals? Like they played last year, but this year they're so distant from it. You sit there and go, do you want to play out your career at these places, or do you want, because there'd be a lot of money around for some of these players.
Yeah, well, Sean Darcy's been offered the $5 million over 5 years from Geelong, a former Geelong boy. So that'll be really interesting for Freo because since he's gone out, their ability to win the contested ball has just been, that's dropped significantly. And that's where GWS just completely smashed them over the weekend. They beat them on the inside, and then once they get their outside run happening, you just can't stop it. It's the orange tsunami, and you either get out the way or you're done.
Yeah, and like 70-point win, that's a massive win.
Yeah,
it's a great win there, where a lot of people actually tipped Freo. And did you?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be admitting that. But mind you, I only got 4 out of 6 myself. I missed on. That's the hardest thing about tipping at the moment, isn't it? Like you sit there and go, everyone's getting about 4 out of 6 because you think what you think's a couple of the outliers, and then they end up getting up. But the ones that you think are absolutely going to win lose. So it's it's a mind battle at the moment trying to tip.
Yep. And then the next one, you said he didn't attend. Richmond 90 defeating St Kilda 70. Watched the first quarter, and then the heavens opened, didn't they? And then
they did. And look, the footy gods. We spoke about the footy gods a little bit earlier, and Cochin's 300. See him come out, and look, what about controversy with Damien Hardwick being there? And good luck to him. He's decided to step away. Absolutely, he's probably the only coach he had for the last 15 years. So I think it was fantastic to see the support there, and to kick the first goal. It was just up and about, and it was just awesome. So. Yeah, for me, again, the Saints let this one slip. The Saints should never have lost this. They had the opportunities, they had more of the ball, they had a lot of stuff going for them, and you knew they were 4 goals up, and you're just going, please, open the heavens now. Richmond kick one, Richmond kick another. They kick one after the siren, and you go, if they get in front, by the time these the rain clouds come and the rain comes, that is it. The Saints pegged back okay, but you know what? You can't do it to good sides.
No, you can't. And how good was that at the end of the game? Obviously, Trent Cotchin getting carried off, but then his 3 girls getting carried off with him. By blokes like Dusty, and I thought that was excellent. And Richmond have really made themselves that family club. Obviously, since winning those 3 flags, and it could have been 4 if not for Big Mason Cox as well.
It's interesting. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you see that, and everything's evolving, and there's always something new with football, and it was fantastic to see that. With him and his daughters, and you see what Collingwood's been able to do around Mother's Day and other games. So I think you'll see that in the future with a couple of players. So 300 games, we've had a couple of over in the last few weeks. It's been cracking. I love it.
Yeah, it has. And then Sunday, Carlton 120 defeating Gold Coast 61. 1 quarter. That's all it was. That second quarter for the Blues just completely blew Gold Coast Suns off the park.
And this is the question. This is the big question about the Suns. Where are they at? They are in great nick. They played 2 games in Darwin, coming off some good wins. They have the bye. All goes to it just fades away to nothing. And then Carlton come out hard. That second quarter, as you said, led by Cripps and Doherty. But for me, I don't know about the Suns. They're frustrating at the moment because they've got a side that should be more competitive. You can't get done like that anymore. You're a young team, but how long can you be a young team for? So, when you look at Noah Anderson, he's just the one that really stands out. They got a solid back, they got good forwards, but they need to be more consistent. Absolutely.
I think the most frustrating things with the Suns is they keep having these opportunities every single year for probably the last 3 years, where if they get that win, they're in the 8.
Yeah.
And then they lose games that they really shouldn't. And then after the bye, I think I saw something last night on the couch. It was 32-9, their records from round 14 onwards over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So, 9-32, 9 wins, 32 losses.
Yeah.
And they've always been in that contention.
Well, it's funny because you kind of look at a review from the year and a preview of this year, compared to 2022 and 2023 from the coaching staff at the Suns, and they go through things they're looking at and things they need to work on. But you kind of look at all the stats and they're exactly the same as last year. It's going, well, what have you done different?
Yeah,
what have you actually done different? Nothing. So I think it'd be interesting to see what happens and unfolds over the next couple of weeks. But I know that Stewie Dew absolutely should be staying, but I think there's going to be something, we'll wait and see. But I don't think that, there could be a lot of changes if they don't, if they have another 32-9 back end of the season.
Yeah, and just want to touch on one thing. Obviously, the Blues have been going horrendously, and only 27,000, or it might have been 29,000 by the end of it, at this game at the MCG Sunday afternoon. What else are you going to be doing? 29,000.
Prime time. It's a great time for footy. And you're right. Both of these teams should have had a lot more. Carlton, but let's be honest, what have they won? 2 now out of 10. So so look, I think they're back on their bike. I reckon their supporters will jump back on. But their supporters were so destined to play finals at the start of the year, and then it's been a tough couple of months. And every time somebody over the last few weeks, I'll walk past somebody or talking to someone, and I'd say, "Who do you follow?" And they'd just, they'd kind of whisper Carlton, and I'll tell you, oh no, really? And they've had it tough. So well, they can still play finals if they get their game into gear, but I don't think they'll do much damage there.
No, I don't think so. And I think you can completely write finals off for the Blues, in my opinion. Now, the final game of the weekend, Western Bulldogs 105 defeating North Melbourne 84. Once again, I feel like I'm a broken record with this. North Melbourne competitive without winning a game, and their losing streak goes to 12.
Yeah, and I think they're doing really well. And tough for North Melbourne supporters, but it's interesting to see over the last couple of weeks where your gun forwards, your Nortons had to go back and play full back for a period of time, and then Waitman stands up and kicks 6. But we saw that a few weeks ago. So Norton team thing, absolutely. Did I have him to kick 4 or plus goals? Absolutely, I did. Was I filthy? Absolutely, I was. So
I can one up you here, I reckon.
Oh, okay. So I was filthy. I had him to kick 4, and also Danaher, but Danaher kicked 2 too. But I was filthy when they moved him down back, and then you see Waitman kicking 6. It's like, that could have been my man.
Yeah, I had a 6-legger same game multi. And had 5 legs going to the last quarter, and I was Jamari Eagle-Hagan anytime goal scorer.
Oh,
and all going through, like, he's got to get one. They're pumping him here. He's
absolutely
got to get one. And then 2 minutes to go, he still hasn't kicked one. Ball was up the other end, and stuff here, so I'm not going to get it. Anyway, ball goes into Jamara's hands. Siren goes 25 meters out, directly in front. Goes back, misses it after the siren.
You win.
Yeah, would have paid $11. So
I hate that. It's just I love the multi meltdowns. Like it's just
it's a roller coaster. I was up, I was down, then I was up. Oh, he's got it here, directly in front. Nah.
And the thing I love about this too is the fact that not only that, it's like, you're that far. Look, like you missed it by 20 centimeters, whatever that side. But no, whoever you bet with, we're happy to give you your rescue back. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
We'll give you your $10 back. Awesome. What about the money I just lost?
Yeah, exactly right. I'm just going to spend it again anyway. But
you reinvest.
Exactly. Losses can't run forever. Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's no longer fun. Walk away.
Exactly. We're going to move into overreaction or spot on now, mate.
Okay.
Right. Fremantle can book their September holidays.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, I reckon Freo are done. They need a lot more. They've only got a couple of players that are really competitive at the moment. So, booking your holidays. And this is the tough thing too. With most teams, years ago, like when we were at the Saints in the early 90s, we knew we weren't going to be playing finals. So we could book our Mad Monday and also our footy trip throughout the finals time. But the hardest thing for that was, because we didn't get that many holidays at the end of the year, not like they do now, is we're coming back to start pre-season. when the teams that are winning the premiership were just going on their footy trips.
Oh,
it's
no. That's hard to see then, isn't it? When you're busting your gut.
It was mentally challenging for sure. But yeah, Freo, if they still do footy trips wherever they go, start booking it, get the special deal in September. Make sure it's not in school holidays because you'll be playing overs. Outside of that, go and enjoy it.
Yeah, go somewhere with no kids, I reckon. That'd be and somewhere where no one knows you.
Good choice. Good choice. Cancun if you got a choice in Mexico.
They could probably get a package deal with West Coast because they're not going anywhere near finals.
There we go. Double up the West Coast Freo package.
Oh, nah. Anyway, if Nick Larkey played for a top 4 side, he'd be one of the best players in the competition.
Absolutely. And I think he's got to really consider where they're at, North Melbourne, and where he's at, because I think I mentioned this about a month ago, very similar circumstances. If Tom Lynch was still playing, and I know they've got guns at Gold Coast Suns now, but if Tommy Lynch had stayed at the Suns the whole time like David Swallow, Tommy Lynch would be a great player. But he would not have the name he's got now with the premierships beside him, with the goal-kicking record that he's got in such a gun team. Yeah, he probably went to the team, the pick of the bunch at the time and not knowing that it was going to be such a great era. But it's still, he was able to do it. And I think Larky's going to make that choice now. There's a few players, and it's tough. When players, you have to understand that it's really hard because this is their livelihood. This is their future as well. So, as Dane Swan always says, and Dane Swan, makes a real, Brownlow medalist, gone 260 odd games or maybe more. He mentions that, if he played for North Melbourne, he wouldn't have the name that he's got now in the community because of the team that he played for, and that was Collingwood. So, and I put this in the hands of some of the Fremantle players as well, and some of the West Coast players at the moment. You got to see where you feel they're going to be in the next couple of years, and if that's going to service what you offer, and if that can be better suited anywhere else. Now, people will say that's not loyalty, but that's your job. This is your profession. This is what you're going to be known for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and Nick Larkey just signing a 5-year deal to stay with the Kangaroos, which is pretty surprising. And I definitely agree with that one because it's not just your playing career you got to think about. If you're going to, have that mega stardom, when you finish, you're going to have media roles. You're going to be able to earn so much more when you finish football as well. Probably a lot more than if you played for North Melbourne. You look into the media now, there's no probably other than Wayne Carey, and that was when the Roos were flying, mind you.
Yeah, in the 90s. Don't worry about that. Yeah, and plus the dramas that surround, like who on the speaking circuits around at the moment. Who are your main players? Acker.
Yep.
The Duck.
Yep.
Swanee.
Yep.
There's not a lot of others. A lot of people. Archer was a little bit, but you name a North Melbourne player that can go there and people line up to see. It's a tough one. It is a tough one, but they're the little things you got to think of. Swanee's still making thousands of dollars a week, going to play local footy, playing a game, having a night, drinking a truckload of beers, and then going home the next day.
Yeah. What a life that would be anyway.
Yeah, not a tough gig.
Nah. And then the final one, mate, Carlton are back.
Oh, hang on. Calm down.
That's what I think. I think that's an overreaction. I had to put it in there just to keep some Blues fans happy.
Jesus. Look, I'm happy. I'm a Suns supporter. I would have liked the Suns to win. I want to see the Suns play finals, but I was also happy Carlton win because I know how many supporters they've got, how tough it's been, and just to see Bossy and everyone, just being able to walk into a football club after you've had 10 or 12 losses and the week's going to be crap and you're trying to get yourself motivated. The difference between walking in after winning and after losing is a huge difference. Just on your Monday, on your Tuesday, walking down to get the loaf of bread, walking the dog in the morning. The bloke giving you bread doesn't bag the shit out of you. He actually says, well done. He looks at you with a smile. It makes a big difference wherever you are. Yeah, a bit of an overreaction, but you know what? It was good they got the win.
Yeah, it was. The Blues are just one of those sides that I reckon if I don't support them, but I kind of feel bad for supporters who do. And this is coming from a Fremantle supporter who hasn't had any success either. But at least Fremantle, you can sort of tell from a while back whether they're going to be half decent or no good. Carlton, it's like a roller coaster. 5 rounds in, you're going to be top 4. The next ones, you're going to be bottom 4. No, we're back to making finals again.
We're back.
No, we're not.
I think it's sides. It's sides you want to see win grand finals for what will happen.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to see Carlton win a grand final because I'd love to be in the middle of Lygon Street with everyone going off. There'll be burnouts, there'll be cars tipped over, there'll be burnt cars, there'll be pasta and food everywhere. It'll be just massive. And I'd love to see St Kilda win a grand final. Just Moorabbin. You'd have 80,000 people flock into Moorabbin and seeing the players presented the next day. You probably wouldn't see a bigger crowd, I don't reckon, if the Saints finally got over the line. So there's certain teams you'd love to see win a grand final just to see the reaction of the supporters after it. Like when Richmond won their first one a few years back, it was massive there in Swan Street, just outside the MCG.
Yeah, and I think if Carlton were to get up, you wouldn't want to be a kebab down Carlton way. A fair few of them would get eaten, I reckon, over a 2 or 3 day period.
You'd be open 24/7 for 8 months. They would not stop until Christmas, I reckon, which is only like 4 months. But anyway.
Yeah. So we do a Spida bite each week, but this week I've got something different. It's Brody's Bake. And there's one guy, there's one bloke in the world from the England cricket side that I need to give a proper spray to, mate.
Oh, hang on. All right, you go.
Yeah. Ollie Robinson gets Usman Khawaja out for 141. Uzi's batted brilliantly.
Yeah.
Gives him a send-off and tells him to F off, you effing prick.
He did too.
Now, you do this to David Warner on 141. Fair enough. Australian public's probably going to join you. You do it. You get Uzi out first or second ball. Fully understand it. You're hyped up. You're on a roll. But 141, he slapped you around the park. Got out, probably just a little bit tired, facing 300-odd bowls, and then you give him a send-off. Come on, mate, give me a spell. Seriously. He's made 141. You can't even bowl 140. Sit down.
Yeah. Look, I agree, but I'll tell you one thing I love. It's brought the Ashes alive. That's what it did. Yeah. No one really talking about it. He put them on the map. And you know what I loved about it too was the Poms come in and doubled down and said, stop your whinging, Aussies. You're always whinging. And I'm like, yes, this is what cricket needs. Cricket is about the sledging. So 140, a little bit, a bit of a joke, as you say. If you got him out under 10, and he did another great effort as well in the next inning. So, look, I love the sledging. Absolutely time for it. It's put it back on the map. Probably the wrong timing. I would have gone after Dave Warner myself, but and he only got 6 or something in the second inning. So, absolutely, I love it. Get them on. Get on the Poms.
I don't reckon the Poms would be saying this if it was in Australia on a green top, though, where the ball's bouncing around their neck when they're playing on these English slow pitches and they can, they've got time to get behind it. They can go and say all this. But if you had Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins rolling in on a green top, I don't reckon they'd be saying too much, mate.
No, absolutely not. But that's, what? They're in Pommy land. Do what you want. Say what you want. They got the Barmy Army. I love it. I love cricket. That's
great, isn't it? Like the Barmy Army. And some people hate it. I've listened to a bit of radio and there's people ringing up complaining about it.
Really?
And I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely awesome.
Whoever complains about the Barmy Army should be locked up in Alcatraz.
Yeah.
They're the greatest. They're the greatest sporting, I suppose, sporting mascots or supporters there are. They come out here, you speak to them, they make all the songs up. They make songs up about everything that's relevant. I absolutely love them. It's an Barmy Army. And you know why they're bagging? Because they're not gelling us. They're not smart enough to be able to create. They create.
Awesome. Oh, and I reckon I remember one a couple of years ago. It was Sean Marsh was playing, and obviously Sean Marsh wasn't selected by many Australians, and there was a fair bit of controversy about how we kept getting selected. And the Barmy Army we'd actually joined in by the whole Australian crowd. And it was, he's big, he's bad, he's selected by his dad. It's Sean Marsh.
And then I remember one they had Mitchell Starc. Remember his mum come out and there was a fight between him and his mum, or his mum done something. So they made one up about that. It's just, they're creative. They're fantastic. I love them.
And I remember back in the 90s, I reckon it was, one of the cricketers, it would have been mid-2000s, that one over in England where England beat Australia. And one of the cricketers had a mother called Matilda, and they changed the words from waltzing Matilda to we all shagged Matilda.
Brilliant.
But
Right.
anyway, mate, one thing
Yeah.
I've noticed is you've got a great head of hair on you. Oh, decent head of hair. But one bloke who doesn't, I was just watching the TV the other day, and I just want to play a little something that caught my eye.
Known as Razor Ray, famous AFL umpire. He's tough and he's had to make tough decisions. But not including hair loss. That was easy.
There was definitely not going to be any razor going over the top of my head. Instead, I investigated Advanced Hair Clinic on their hair restoration procedures.
And me, I simply didn't want to go bald.
For 100% guaranteed results, call Advanced Hair Studios Clinic.
I've seen some horrible ads in my life. That takes the cake.
I can tell you one thing. Piss off, Ray. Oh,
It's about time for this.
It's that time of the week where we find out what's been grinding the big fella's gears. It's time for Spider Bites.
oh my
Strap
God.
yourself in, everyone.
Is Razor Ray Fanningham? This is the bloke that whinges at everything every player does, and he tries to control every football game out there. And Razor's got to be the front of attention. If there's not a free kick, he'll put a free kick in there so they can put the video camera on him, and then he can get reviewed. And they'll put his mic up, and he'll there, whinge about this, whinge about that. And he comes on and says now he wants to start doing ads. Umpires should never ever do ads. They should never. They're not. Umpires are always a part about being heard, not seen. They just conduct a football game. Now he thinks he's bigger than the king. Soon he'll be over there at the when the king's birthdays, the real king's birthday rocks in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Razor walking a couple of steps behind the king all dressed up.
Yeah.
It's amazing what this bloke can do. It's embarrassing, Razor Ray. Like,
I think
he can't even bounce a ball higher than his head, which is about 3.5 feet. And
I was going to say, I think the worst thing about this is right at the start, he's tough. No, he's not.
no, he's not. You can go through that whole ad. Oh my God, not another Razor's going to go over this head. I'll tell you what, Razor, if I had a Mad Monday down there again and you walk past, I'd strip you off the street and I'd shave your head with a razor to make sure it did go off. But please, Advanced Hair. I wish I was still playing, because this is where sledging could be back and the umpires can't have a crack, because if that was a fellow player, you'd be absolutely giving it to him.
Yeah.
You'd be giving him to double down and just doubling the spray. And I reckon if he pays a free kick against me these days, I'll be having a crack at it. Come on, Razor. Get the hair out of your eyes. You've still got too much hair. It's growing too quickly. Like, please, come on, Razor Ray, doing an ad. Oh, that got me that.
Supported by Chris Mayne, who's actually still got a fair bit of hair. Yes, he's got a bald spot, but so do most people. He's got that beautiful, little curly locks. And then it just popped up at the end. I was worried about going bald too.
Yeah,
Shut up, Chris Mayne.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Chris Mayne hair transported onto Razor Ray. Okay, so you got this guy who's about 3.5 foot with 6 foot long curly blonde hair running around the MCG trying to bounce the ball. I want to see Razor Ray with a top knot.
Oh, no. As if he doesn't cop enough stick already, mate.
I want Razor Ray to go and umpire out there with a top knot, but come on.
I want him to umpire a Collingwood-Carlton game with a head full of hair and a top knot and just be shocking all game and just listen to the abuse he cops from 90,000 supporters.
And they play that during the footy too, that ad.
That's shocking. As if he's not copping enough abuse from the sidelines already. He's bringing it on himself now with all the media work, let's be honest.
Absolutely. He deserves to be sprayed and sledged.
He does.
Oh, here we go. I've been following this.
Well, Spida.
I'm going to look at your odds here. I'm finding it really interesting because you've got, compared to what the bookies have the market at, yours is different, but you look at this pretty seriously each week.
I do. I actually watch every game. So I don't just, look at highlights or look at stats. I actually go back and watch every game. That's why I can't, usually get it up until I'm better rephrase that.
Yeah, I was going to say you're at home. You're home alone, so it's easy.
That's right. I'm batching at the moment. That's why I can't get the tracker up straight away. I usually wait till about Tuesday. So we'll kick it off now. On 21 votes, Zach Butters on $4.50.
Is he your favourite player at the moment?
Oh, I just love the way he plays. He's just so tough and just welcomes tagging, welcomes contact, welcomes getting dropped. He just, like I said last week, he's like the Joker off Batman, just gets punched in the face and laughs and keeps going. So, but the bloke in second spot who's on fire at the moment, he's probably your favourite and probably my second favourite, Timmy Taranto.
$41 7 weeks ago. He's had a cracking month and a half of football.
Yeah,
he'll be right in the votes. This is going to be interesting because he's your second pick.
Yeah, on
you
20
can
votes.
still get him for about $5 or $6.
Yep, $6 he is.
$6. Yep. Who's the third? Because Nick Dacos, he hasn't done a lot over the last month.
He hasn't. Obviously, the Pies having a bye on the weekend. So 19 votes, $26. Connor Rosie from Port Adelaide.
Is he third?
He's third on 19.
Connor Rosie at 20. Oh, yeah, but you got Zach Butters.
Yeah, but like both of them, if you go back, watch every game, those two are 3-2 or 2-3 or 3-1 or 2-1.
They're always in the money.
Yeah. And if one of them has a bad game, the other one's getting 3 votes. So, and obviously Zach Butters has come from the clouds these last 10 weeks and Connor Rosie.
The Quinella. Take the Brownlow Quinella.
Has that ever happened, you reckon? 2 players from the same side?
1, 2. Be worthwhile checking out. I don't think so.
Maybe back in the Brisbane midfield days, like an Acker and a Simon Black, maybe, or a Simon Black and Vossi or something.
I reckon it might have been a first and third or a first and fourth, but a second to get the Quinella, same team.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
Now, 18 votes, Nick Dacos, $3.50, and Jordan Dawson, $15. But obviously, Zach Butters, Tim Taranto, Connor Rosie are all game ahead of these players with their bye coming up this week.
Yep.
And then 17 votes have got Petrarca and Toby Green.
Interesting, isn't it? And it's good that there's a whole heap of new young kids. I think Jordan Dawson's still a good bet. Adelaide is still going to come home pretty strong. They're really destined to play finals, and he's had a cracking year. So I reckon he's probably just a little bit. Well, you're not going to get 3 votes when Big Tex last time kicked 10. So and that's not going to happen every week either. So yeah, it'd be interesting. The Nick Dacos is the interesting one for me. He was real hot the first 5 or 6 weeks, but now he's just running with the rest. And Collingwood are a great team. Everyone kind of contributes evenly.
And now that Jordan Ngoe will be back after the buys, and I think he's got maybe one more week on his suspension. I think he might take a few votes off Nick Dacos in the run home as well.
Well, my bets are still Jordan Dawson's still good, nice. I'd still like I'd be going Timmy Taranto. For me, has got the Tigers back where they belong.
He just doesn't play a bad game, and I think that's one of those things throughout his whole year. Even when Richmond weren't winning those games, he was still getting his 30 and maybe a goal. So could get the 1 or 2 votes, or potentially even sneak in a 3 early in the year.
Yep. So no, he's worth his weight in gold at the moment with the Tigers. Whatever they've paid him, they need to double because he's done them. What a pickup! Imagine if GWS still had him.
Yeah, and still not in Kane Corn's top 150 either that he listed. Oh. How much of a joke was that?
Yeah, I know, but as we said, the top 10 are Kane Corns.
Yes. Yeah. So... and the top 9 are, and then you got Chad.
Oh, did you put Chad? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well done.
Big brother.
A token vote.
But Sunday, I did a bit of a live blog on my website, and the Tim Zhu fight, Carlos Ocampo. Now, what a fight that was! And Tim Zhu, the risk-taking, money-making, jaw-breaking, soul-taking, he's just on fire, isn't he?
He is. It was on the Gold Coast as well, and it was interesting because everyone got confused a little bit because we always expect our boxing fights at night. Yeah. But this was at midday. Yeah. Because of the time difference going into Vegas and into the US. So it was kind of caught a lot of people out by surprise that, some fights are starting really early in the morning, and then Timmy Zhu comes on, only lasts 70 odd seconds, but he pounded that guy. Oof. I found this fascinating in the way that What about Timmy Zoo's mum after the fight?
Yeah.
Went to the opposition and just made sure he was okay.
Yeah.
How's that? She goes, I don't like what my son turns into when he gets into the boxing ring, but I just hope that you're okay.
Yeah. And I watched that the fight on the undercard as well between Sammy Goodman. It was a world title eliminator, so he'll go in to be a contender now, facing the undefeated American Ressie Alim, his name was, and he was a very well touted individual. Coming over from typical American boxing fans, Sam Goodman won't be able to touch him, won't be able to do this, won't be able to do that. He just jabbed him, just beat him up over the whole 12 rounds and beat him quite easily, except for the one judge, which somehow ruled it in favor of the American. But Sam Goodman, definitely one to watch. And the Mad Bunch, his supporter group, I'm not sure if you've heard much about this fight.
Nah.
So Sammy Goodman grew up in a local rugby club, and all his mates and all his fans are just absolute nutcases. Like, they get on the beers, they're singing Seven Nation Army as he comes to the ring. It's like a soccer atmosphere in a boxing fight. And so Sam Goodman opened up at $3. So all the boys rugby fines money for the year, they put it all on Sam Goodman. And obviously he was a big underdog.
No.
Yep. And so he's come in. I think he opened up at about $2.80. And I think with that money, plus all of the rest of the Mad Bunch putting all their money on him, the bookies have come out and said it was the worst boxing result on a match card this year, tenfold over anything else.
Really? That's great. I love that. When the underdog gets up, you've got no control. It's only man v man in that ring. So you're only coming in with reputations. That's all you've got when somebody's facing you. So look, I love the boxing. I think it's fascinating to get behind it. I love Timmy Zoo. I love what Australia's been able to do. Hopefully you can have another a big fight down here. But at the moment, between Tim Zoo and Nikita Zoo, there's a lot of Aussie boxers places, which is fantastic because it's a tough sport. Jesus, It's a tough sport.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. So I reckon those boys are now saving up for Vegas for Sam Goodman's next fight.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine
with the footy trip money.
The Mad Bunch going to Vegas.
They might not make the fight. They might just be still in Caesars.
Yeah, we're talking about that. Talking about sport over the weekend. A couple that I wanted to mention, or the one I wanted to mention, was the cheating.
Yeah.
The scandal.
Yes.
The match fixing in the snooker championships. Now, don't laugh because this cost me my multis. I put on multis for favourites in a lot of different sports just to try and get my 30 to 40 to 1, 10 or 11 legger, and I get done by snooker all the time. And now I know why, because the Chinese have been match fixing snooker for some years, and it's them. I should get my money back from the Chinese for rorting the system. I'm filthy with them.
How do you match fix snooker? Run us through it, Spide.
I don't know. All that I know is it cost me my multi. So, look, I don't know how they did. Obviously, just missing shots and allowing the opposition to win. But whoever thought the Chinese will rort something when you saw them dressed like big V's in the swimming 10 or 15 years ago. Now they've come out and done it in snooker. They just don't care, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. So last week we put our All Australian sides up on the socials and put it up over Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and everything. So obviously you're a man of the younger generation. You're an absolute superstar on TikTok, mate. I know how much you love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So result, TikTok, yours ended up with more likes. On Facebook. Yep, yours did.
Oh, yeah, you little ripper, yes.
Yep, on Facebook and Twitter, I ended up with more likes. On Instagram, you ended up with more likes. So we're dead even, mate, after all that. Across all the platforms, we're 2 and 2.
They can't split our All-Australian teams.
Nah, so a lot of the messaging coming out of mine was the absence of Jordan Agoe and Clayton Oliver. For yours, having 2 West Coast players caused a bit of an uproar between a few people as well.
Yeah. I just think
Oscar Allen's a great pick.
Yeah. So, there we go. All right, we'll reveal. We've got about another 10, 12 weeks before we got to do the real one.
Yeah. So we need to find another social media platform, mate. I'm not sure what there is what else there is. We'll find something, a Reddit forum or something like that.
Does MySpace still exist?
I've got no idea, mate. You probably have a better idea. You would have been all across that in the mid 2000s, wouldn't you?
Yeah, MySpace. Oh, one of the greats.
State of Origin tomorrow night, mate. That'll be absolutely cracking one. I think it's this one here is going to be pretty feisty from all reports.
Yeah, look, it'll be sell out again. It's huge, and if you ever live if you're lucky enough to live in Queensland or New South Wales, you'd understand the hype between this game. Two states that absolutely hate each other. Queensland look like they've got it in the can. It's just a formality for them. They actually train only 100 metres away from where I live, so they've been here all week training and been in camp. So it's been good to go down there and watch them. But New South Wales have had to make some changes, which they think could actually kind of make them a little bit more unpredictable, and you get these young kids or these new guys into Origin, and it could come a whole new game plan. So look, the Blues just need to win it. They need to win it to make it go to a draw, a tie. They need to go to game 3, because I don't find any use playing the dead rubber, but it's worth so much money to the state of Origin or rugby league they do. But yeah, for me, I've asked a lot of people over the last week, can New South Wales actually win this game, not the series, just this game?
Yeah.
And they said, I could not look you in the eye and say yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't reckon they can. It's Queensland just reckon they get it done.
Especially with game 1, they had it in the bag, didn't they? And
yeah,
obviously a couple of players sitting out, and then come from the clouds 2 tries later, and Queensland stole it.
The hardest thing with those 2 tries were really set up by Munster. And Munster's out. So that's what they're saying. Without Munster there to set those tries up, the Blues were actually in this game absolutely knee-deep. So without him there to set them up, have they got a playmaker to be able to combat that, or the Blues might actually get the upper edge? But then again, they're at the Cauldron. They're at Suncorp. So it's going to be a pretty loud crowd Queensland's way.
Yeah, it will be. It's you kind of wonder whether it'd be worth having the home goal, scheduling it different, where they go New South Wales first game, Queensland second game, and then you're neutral in the third. So you're not going to have it be game over by that third game.
They've looked at it so many options, but then if it's in South Australia and it's a dead rubber, does anybody care?
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. You're probably still going to get some South Australians go along to it and that, but
I spoke to Rashudo after the state of Origin, and he went to it. And he said, look, we didn't really understand what was going on, but yeah, we cheered every now and then, because it's not the same as AFL. AFL, every 5 seconds, there's a turnover, there's a 50-50 ball. It's either us or it's them. So there's always that argument between the crowd, dropping the ball, no, it's dropping the ball, it's a mark. Where in NRL, you have a set of 6 and nothing happens. You have another set of 6, nothing happens. So the enthusiasm between the players isn't there like AFL.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, there's just so much sport going around the world at the moment, and trying to get our sleeping patterns on with the Ashes and that. I was staying up and I actually couldn't sleep. I was trying to sleep while watching, just had the cricket on in the background, and luckily Kevin Peterson's voice came over the TV and put me to sleep straight away. So that was really nice. So, geez, he's horrible.
Thanks, KP. Oh, that's funny.
I might just have him set up in Tilly, my daughter's room at the moment. She's nearly 2, and just to make sure she sleeps through the night, that'll be nice. But we'll move into this week's games, mate. Move KP out the way, and Thursday night, football's back, and another blockbuster game, Geelong and Melbourne down at Alphabet Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be, this another round of footy where, you're thinking you're going to know 5 or 6 of these, and then suddenly, 2 of them where you think absolute certainties will be a ball over the other way. So, look, for me, the Cats have done nothing impressive. I think was it GWS beat Geelong down there last time?
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, GWS.
Yep.
And they're in good form. Melbourne is just starting to slowly crank. They're just slowly turning up the tempo. So for me, I'm going to stick with Melbourne. I'm going to go with Melbourne down there. I think they're big forwards and big backs are going to be able to combat that. So it looks like it's going to be dry conditions as well. So for me, the Cats need a lot. I'm going to stick with Melbourne.
And if Geelong win this, you nearly put a line through them. I know they've got a fair few games to come at Alphabet Stadium.
Yeah,
but they've got the hardest run home in the AFL.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They need to win this. If they don't win this, they're going to find it really, really tough. And then they're going to be right in the mix. The percentage will play a major role. Those home finals, they will be. And then, realistically, they're going to have to win it from 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough call with their list. So for me, yeah, Melbourne are tracking all right. Melbourne are going okay. And I still reckon they can improve a little bit.
And hopefully Oliver gets back. Obviously been in hospital, I think, for a week with an infected blister. So I'm sure Clary will be out. And
now you wouldn't say that, would you? You wouldn't. Oh, look, no, I've been in hospital with an infected blister.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing.
it's a red-headed injury, though, isn't it? Sunburn and blisters.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you got red head and freckles, you're going to get an infected blister. There's no doubt. But
maybe he went to Bali over the bye and just got that sunburn. He's landed in hospital with blisters all over his body.
Yeah, but say that. Say I went to Bali. I was asleep in the sun. I was on the back of a motorbike. We went surfing. I was attacked by a shark. I smacked it off. I caught the wave in. I was exhausted on the beach, and I just passed out. And I had to wake me up with Bing Tang, and I only had a T-shirt on, and I got infected blister.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, so make it exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going with the Demons too in that one. Friday, St Kilda versus Brisbane at Marvel. Now, this one here, obviously, Brisbane haven't been that good away from the Gabba. At Marvel, their record is slightly better than the MCG, but still not great.
This defines Saints, I think. This is more about St Kilda than Brisbane. It is both teams got it on the line. But for me, the Saints need to bounce back. They need a win. They need all their top-line players playing well. They just need to get that win, grind that win. If they get that win here against the side that we're all predicting to be top 4, but I think is going to struggle to be there, Brisbane at the moment, I think the Saints can go on and play really good footy in the finals, but they need to start winning and get that confidence. And I reckon it starts by beating the Lions. Because if you look at Lions on paper, they've got a pretty good side.
Yeah.
And look, for 2 players to step aside and say, look, we're not good enough, we want to step out.
That's great.
Yeah, but
you reckon?
Yeah. Do you reckon they decided to do it?
No, not at all. They got a tap on the shoulder from Fags.
Absolutely. They said, look, we expect you to play September, but you do need to get a bank of running into you. So why don't you guys come up with the concept? This is what we want to do. This is how it's going to This is how it's going to play out. So please, how many players go, you know what? Yeah, look, put me out for a couple of weeks. Give me a spell, please. If you're having a spell, you're going over to Vegas.
Yeah. That would be nice, though, if you could just do that little mid-season break.
I reckon every 10 years or 8 years, a player should have 12 months off.
Yeah.
So like your Petrarcas and these have a year out now.
Yeah.
And then come back in 12 months. And I reckon they'll get longevity and better footy.
Yeah. And probably better in your headspace as well, just to get away from
headspace, the whole lot. Get away for, like TtMuP, get away for the 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
And then come back and get yourself ready. You can play. You're at top level. It's not going to change that much in 12 months. You're still going to get yourself cherry ripe.
Yeah. Saturday, Sydney versus West Coast. It's going to go as expected, is it, you reckon?
It could be a bit of, you'd expect, but it'd be just, if West Coast just had another 2 or 3 players, it could make it really interesting.
Yeah.
Look, I reckon West Coast they'll be competitive. I reckon they'll get within the line here. I don't reckon they'll get done by 60 points. I reckon they'll get pretty close. Not close enough to win it, but the line's at 50, 54 points. So that's big at the SCG.
Yeah,
Sydney haven't been over dominant. They haven't been awesome. They will cause a lot of stoppages. So, yeah, look, Sydney will get the job done, but keep your eye on the Eagles. I reckon they won't be as bad as you think.
I think the Swans haven't been kicking big scores either. So that line's definitely out of proportion for me.
Yeah, well, realistically, on a small over, you'd think West Coast should still kick 8 to 10 goals.
Yeah.
So that means Sydney got to kick 120 points to win by that.
Mm.
They haven't kicked 120 for a long time.
No, and the key forwards are struggling big time at the moment.
And that's if Buddy plays.
Yeah, and they've relied on a lot of their midfielders like Golden, like Parker to drift forward and kick their goals, which is it's probably a bit of a worrying sign, not just for this year, but for next year as well. They don't have that next key you can look at. I mean, Amadi's been solid when he's actually played, but he's barely got a run.
But you know what Sydney do? And I haven't had a look at their injury list because, there's a few players there that still aren't playing. But, Sydney will just find, like you mentioned before, out of Fremantle, who
Sean
might have
Darcy.
been, yeah, like depending on what player, if they, like a Larky who's just signed for 5 years, but Sydney just go and buy them.
Yeah.
They don't muck around. They sit there and go, we need a forward, or we need a ruckman, or we need a backman. We'll just go and pay that money. We understand that's what we need. We'll pay that money, get them in. They're going to make us a better team. So don't be stressed about Sydney. They'll get the player they want at the end of the year, or a couple of players.
Yeah. Imagine someone like Oscar Allen going up there. Imagine how good he would go in a Sydney environment.
And it would not surprise me if they don't have a crack at him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this one here, Fremantle versus Essendon, Saturday night. Freo lose this, put a line through them, definitely. But back at Optus, they need to make a statement here.
Yeah, they'll get 40,000 there. They'll get a good crowd. But for me, I reckon this is the Bombers. This is the Bombers. They're the underdogs of Bombers, and they're sitting in the top 8. Freo are out of it.
Yeah.
I know the home ground advantage, but the Bombers can run. With 2 metre Peter up forward, kicking 5 on the weekend, he was fantastic. He gives them that vocal point. They've still got enough experience and enough flair on the outsides. We know what Jakey Stringer can do. So there's so many great options for him. I like the Bombers. I reckon that they're absolute morals over there against Freo, who are really struggling. They've made an emphasis on the first quarter, Freo. If the Bombers can really match them to quarter time, the Bombers will outrun or can continue to run for 4 quarters. So I'll be sticking with the Bombers. I reckon the Bombers and the Saints is a double, both on the outside. Or outsiders is a good each way bet for me.
Yeah, I think this one here is going to be a battle of the midfield. Obviously, Merritt's been simply outstanding for the Bombers, and then you got the midfield of Freo, obviously O'Meara, Brayshaw, and Sarong, and Luke Jackson. So without Sean Darcy, Luke Jackson's having to play in the ruck, and and now they're sort of lacking that big, high flying forward.
Yeah.
And without that forward, you're going to have blokes like Mason Redmond, who's just going to clean up across half back. So I can't tip the Dockers with, you get beaten by 70 points by GWS. You simply can't tip him the next week for me.
No, you can't. And as you say, Redmond, All-Australian. You got Draper now too. He'll get forward kick goals. They got a job ahead of them, I reckon. I love the Bombers. I reckon they're a cracking bet.
Yep. Now, Sunday, mate, Collingwood versus Adelaide Crows, MCG, prime time. I think this is going to be the game of the round for me.
Yeah, it would be. We remember what happened gather round.
Yeah.
On the Thursday or the Friday. Well, it was the first game. I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday night. And Adelaide absolutely carved Collingwood. Couldn't believe it. So
Carlton was.
Collingwood. Was it?
Yep, it was, because I was actually working that game with the AFL.
Oh, did Adelaide beat Collingwood already though?
No, they played him the next week on the Sunday, and Collingwood come back and beat him by a point, I reckon it was. Right at the end in the rain. Anyway, I'll scrap that out when it comes to it. I'll start that again if you want.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember. Was it really Carlton?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because Carlton came in that cock a hoop. And,
okay, yeah.
And then Crows, I think quarter time, it was 40-7. So, so Sunday, June 17th, prime time, Collingwood versus Adelaide Crows. This could be the game of the round, I reckon, mate.
Oh, absolutely. Like, what a round. And you give Adelaide every chance. I reckon Adelaide will really build themselves up for this game. Both teams will.
Yeah.
Collingwood, I reckon, would want to make a statement and saying we are the best team in the competition and this is why. Yeah. And on the other end, Adelaide would go, you know what? We're not here to make up the numbers. We reckon we can actually play a role come September, and this is why. Yeah. And you put them on paper, and Collingwood, because you look at all they're just daily names. Adelaide names are starting to build on us, like your Jordan Dawsons and these guys. It's just slowly starting to be in everyone's mind. You got Big Tex, but for me, Big Nathan Cox, he's the one who's going to change this game. If he kicks 3 or 4 goals, he's such a big unit. They can't combat him. They can't get near him, especially if he goes forward. So for me, it's going to be a real interesting game. I think for Adelaide to win, they need they need Rankin, those Fogarty. Those smaller forwards to kick 3 or 4, really to be alive. They need their midfielders to kick 1 or 2. They need to be running hard. And for Collingwood to win, I just think, same thing. They need their mid. So it's really going to be one in the midfield for me. But it's hard to tip. It is hard to tip.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with
Collingwood coming off
though.
a loss. Like the Pies coming off a loss against Melbourne and a bye. Obviously, both teams coming off a bye, but Collingwood go into that bye with a loss, which not many probably tipped or expected. But last time these two sides faced, it was Ben Keys who ran with Nick Dacos and really applied that physical pressure off half-back, which we hadn't yet seen, and sort of he would cope with it. And he didn't play his best game, and he turned the ball over quite a bit. So I'd expect the Crows to be given a role to Ben Keys on just running with him and just giving him a bit of physical pressure whenever he's near the ball. So in saying that, though, I think Collingwood just have too many stars on too many lines for the Crows, and I think they'll get up probably under 3 goals, though, for me.
Yeah, it will be close, I think. And I think you're right with Keezy. Look, love him or hate him. Like he can frustrate you as a player. Just watching him, he's pretty happy, but he does a job and he plays his role really well. Yep. He should stop whinging at the umpires every time he's getting as bad as Sicily. Like every time
no one's that bad.
I tell you, it's not bad. And Sicily's stiff too for copping so many weeks.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Let's be honest.
It's ridiculous. So even I'll whinge on his behalf at this moment. He needs everyone to whinge because that was ridiculous. But Keys can find himself doing the same thing. Every time there's a decision around, he's up there whinging about it. No, mate, just play the footy. Because when you're playing footy, you can actually play good footy. So, yeah, I reckon if he goes to Dacos, massive coup.
Yeah. Right, final game of the round, Gold Coast Suns versus Hawthorn at Metricon. The Suns would have to be filthy after last weekend. Hawks coming off a bye. Can the Suns send a message, or are the Hawks going to continue on the merry way and get another scout?
Well, and I don't mind. Hawthorn can travel. Hawthorn don't care where they play.
No.
And they've been able to do that for a long period of time. And, you just don't know what side's turning up. And the most important thing we know about Hawthorn is you need a good start. If you give them a start and they kick the first 2 or 3 goals and they're in it, they are in it for the long haul. They won't let up at all. So the Suns need a good start. So I think probably the biggest influence here is going to have to be Jared Witts. He's been great all year, but in the ruck, you need to control that midfield. You need Matty Rao to get back into the game, and you need your forwards kicking multiple goals. And the Suns really need to get past that centre half forward line and really start pumping in long. Like King should not come any further out than 20 metres on the weekend at Metricon. Perfect conditions it's going to be. So it's set up for a great game. But if you give the Hawks a sniff, they'll take it. I reckon that the Suns need a win. They've annoyed me because I've tipped them so many times this year and they've let me down. Every time I've tipped them, they've lost. Every time I haven't tipped them, they've won. And I'm going to tip them again. They should win at home. They're normally a few good goals better off at home.
Yeah, the Suns are the most frustrating. If you actually followed the Suns, as well as them and Carlton, I think would have to be the 2 most frustrating sides. Just when you think they can make finals, they just let you down. But I think the Suns would have copped an absolute grilling from Stewie Jew during the week.
Well, will they? I hope they did. I hope Stewie
I.
absolutely cut loose. And, they don't do it these days. They don't give the players the proper feedback that they need. They don't throw whiteboards and chairs and chalk and shit around the room like they need to. They need to make it like local footy where you're yelling and screaming and abusing blokes to actually get them to think about what they're doing in the game of football. Don't say, oh, look, maybe try this next time or try that. No, absolutely give it to them and tell them in no certain terms that is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, I think this comes onto the players a little bit. I think it was Clarko's last game, he did throw a chair at halftime, and one of the North Melbourne players ran to Sammy Edmund and told him that it made him feel uncomfortable and he wanted to remain anonymous. So then obviously that got brought up and brought back to Clarko, and Clarko had to come out and apologise for that.
See, that is ridiculous. That, you know what? If I was Clarko, I'd be off on stress leave too.
Yeah.
If that was me, as a coach, I did it to the under-16 boys at Southport Sharks. We were getting drilled at halftime by someone, and I was only assistant coach. I was just mucking around on the outskirts, and the coach gave a bit of a light spray, and he goes, "What do you reckon, Spida?" And I said, "I reckon you've been too light on these kids." And I went through every one of them and absolutely gave it to every one of them, one by one. And the parents are in the room as well. They come out and won the second half.
I was about to say, I bet they didn't play that bad again in the second half.
Nah, they come out and won. And I was like, boys, we shouldn't need to do this. So I think throwing chairs and yelling and screaming, it absolutely needs its role in football.
It's got its place as long as you do it sparingly, I think. You know.
Yeah, like drinking. Do it responsibly.
Use padded chairs. Anyway, mate, we'll move into questions without notice.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick us off this week?
Yeah, all right. I got two.
Yeah.
Are you a win or each way person?
I'm a win.
Straight out win?
Yeah, straight in the schnoz.
Okay, then. Would you go for win or would you go multi?
I'm a multi. Sports multi, horse racing win.
Yeah, okay. Same
Yep.
as me. I can't back straight out wins in the on the footy. I've got to just it's all got to be multis.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in the horses, it's either multi or a win. There's no in between. There's nothing for second.
No way at all. But if you did go just for a place, you guaranteed to run fourth. And if you put it on for a win, you're guaranteed to get pipped by a nose anyway. So,
as we always say, if it's no longer fun,
yep. Okay, we'll move on.
Wake up tomorrow and have another go.
In someone else's house. So, with obviously Timmy Zhu had the boxing fight during the week, mate. Did you ever do a bit of sparring when you were training in the AFL?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who were some of the better boxers?
Look, we played with Hawley, so Hawley could always
hold
he
his
could
own.
always fight all right. But I remember Robbie Campbell. So he played at Hawthorn, country boy. And the Hawks one year, we had a boxing day. So we all matched up. Every player matched up against another player. And the big title fight, I think, was Luke Hodge versus Johnny Barker. That was the title fight. But then we all had the heavyweights and the featherweights and all that underneath. And I had to fight Robbie Campbell. And he was pretty quiet, Cambo, but he's a big unit. He's a solid unit. Anyway, we get in the ring and, we shape up. And he just goes bang, 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 just absolute whacked the shit out of me. I was on the back foot and he's still just pounding me. I saw stars. Like, I didn't fall down, but he absolutely nearly knocked me out. And I was like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like,
I think it's great. And I would love just to see some of this footage. Like, that would be great preseason footage if clubs were to put it up. And if you'd really, I think, let's say, an unassuming, someone like that or a forward liner or, come out, they're not going to cop any niggling stuff like throughout the year. Like imagine if, I don't know, you got Mason Cox in the ring and he just sat back and just jabbed someone to death. Do you reckon someone's going to be Petraka's going to have a go at him after the bell?
So you know what you need to do? We need to set this up. Like, get Australia Sports, right? We'll get a boxing gym in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And one day over the preseason, we'll give it to Hawthorn. The next day, we'll give it to Collingwood. Then we'll give it to Carlton, and we'll put tickets in there, and you can watch them all take. And we have the top 10 or the top 12 boxing fights of each club.
Who do you reckon? Sorry, this is about 5 questions all in one. Who do you reckon would be the best in the AFL that would be able to hold their own at the moment?
Oh, I'd love to. Gee, that'd be a good question. Because we always knew Hawley had that background, so he's no longer there. Don't know. I wonder if Big Tex or someone like that.
A Tex versus Hawkins get a,
Yeah.
Or
but Hawkins has to have his socks pulled up.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Rochelle, every time he kicks a goal, he does about 20 little punches.
Yeah, runs out. Yeah.
Get him in a little flyweight. But
there'd be a couple there. It'd be an interesting scenario because there was somebody would jump out of the box. Like there'll be that stringy backman that's just like just got
a
long
Zach
reach.
Dawson type where they just got the go-go gadget arms that would just sit back and just smash everyone.
Yeah, it just pop people like bim, 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 bim.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, you got another one?
Yeah, I've got one. All right. What's the weirdest thing you've ever won? All right. For me, I'm entering the Madrabar cake cooking competition for males only with a 20 centimetre chocolate cake. That's on this weekend. I'm going to win it. I'm going to take it out. I've got my recipe. I cook it tomorrow. I enter it. And this is going to be my golden opportunity to get my name up in lights at the Madrabar show at the cooking competition. You ever won a comp like that?
Nothing like that. When I was a kid, I won a Nickelodeon competition, and I didn't. I used to fake email because I was still, I was too young. I used to fake email, And I didn't realize it was actually to go on a show.
Oh,
Yeah, but because I used a fake email, I never got the email to go on the show.
no.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to because I was under 10. So
Oh.
I got the prize pack from Nickelodeon, but
Did you?
but never went on the show because I didn't have an email.
Oh, spewing. Would you have gone on if you?
If I would have had to fake my age, but yeah.
Oh, that's very. I remember my brother did that. Not for Nickelodeon. You know the Slurpees.
Yeah,
You get Slurpees.
Yeah.
And you had to make something with the Slurpee containers.
Yeah.
And he used to love them. And when you walked into his bedroom, you know how you have those fly screens, with the string, straps and stuff.
Yeah.
He made one of those, but out of Slurpee containers. And he had 5 or 6 on every one, and he had heaps of them. And he took a photo, and he won a stereo system.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was stoked.
Actually, we got one more. There was a computer app called Mathletics back in the day as well.
Yeah.
And so what that was, it's like you had a minute, you had to answer as many questions as possible with that. And myself and one of my other mates from Lock Area School, we both finished top 10 for South Australia inside this minute. And as a prize, you were supposed to get a little MP3 player, which was, the Ducks nuts back then.
Yeah.
But because we were using the school's login, the school kept it. And then, so you had to hire it out via the library. We never got the prizes. The library got it. The school library got it. And I'm still extremely dirty on it.
Go back and get it. Bloody
I know.
What was it? Lock Primary.
Just a Lock Area School, mate. We don't have it separated here. It was only about 100 kids in the school from reception to year 10, mate. Hence why I still can't read.
Oh, brilliant.
Anyway, I reckon we'll wrap it up there for today, mate. We could keep going on about things that we should have won or that we did win. But...
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll keep you updated with my winning, because up for grabs at the Mudgeeraba Cake Show this weekend, the winner gets $6.
Wow. You nearly get your money back from all your ingredients, mate.
It's cost me $300 to cook it because I've tried so many.
and how many smoke alarms and fire calls?
I Dutched one up the other day, and gee, I was shitty. I threw it everywhere. I was just filthy. But anyway, let's see if I can take it out. I'll be filthy if I don't.
Nah, sounds good, guys. Tune in this time next week. We'll see you then.
This has been the Third Man Up podcast. To hear more, make sure you follow and subscribe, or find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter @Australia Sports.